Hello and welcome to the Sunday News. I'm Belgrath97. This is
the second class leadist.
And we're here in LXG headquarters with your Sunday News.
Behind the camera is...
Oh, I don't know. I didn't come up with a nickname. Leave me alone.
Ellie Alcatraz, the something of somethingness.
Something.
She's not on camera, so she can come up with a nickname.
I had a long day.
I had a long day. Alright. So, this week's Sunday News. People need to start making news, because the Sunday News doesn't have a lot like last week.
There's a 2-week gap in the start of the year, and then the floodgates open. Next week, I'm not worried.
We're still in post-holiday exhaustion.
I'm just saying, I've got to go to work. How come these people aren't at work?
They're at work, but they're aware of the fact that neither you nor I nor most of our readers have any money this week because they're still in debt from the holidays, so they're waiting off a little bit.
Take back some of those presents that you didn't like anyway. Get your money back. Go buy things.
You know, I'd go buy an army this week. Alright, so this week in Sunday News we do actually have some new Kickstarter starting up.
Yay!
Yay!
We have one that is coming on the 25th, right?
Yes.
25th of January, so a little bit of a preview news here. It's coming from Midnight Heroes.
Yep.
And they're releasing, or they're doing a Kickstarter for their Elvia and Beam Chibi model.
Yes.
Okay.
Beam being the gun that Elvia is carrying.
Yes.
It is a sentient gun.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We learned that in the previous Kickstarter.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a thinking gun.
It's a thinking gun?
Yes. It's a partner, basically.
Yeah.
Now, is it actually a thinking gun, or she just thinks it's a thinking gun?
No, it's like actually...
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
It is actually a cyber-decked gun.
Awesome. Okay.
It's a really cool storyline.
It is. That sounds it. I have to go look it up now. So it looks like it's coming in 2 different sizes. Is that correct? A 30mm size and a 55mm. Do we call this like
Collectors?
Collectors, but I'm just saying, is this like large chibi? Like,
like super chibi.
Super chibi. There you go.
So the 30mm one is the one that's going to be designed for gameplay. The 55mm one is going to be collector's edition only.
Okay.
So that's a really big head.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be like a 35mm head. I believe that it is only going to be a launched, like the big one is only going to be available through the Kickstarter. I believe that the Elvia is going to just be available afterwards regularly. You're fine. The 30mm is going to be available. The 55 is going to be a Kickstarter exclusive. I don't know, probably, possibly, maybe. You're making notes about what you need to buy now, huh?
Well, you know me. I'm all about
Kickstarter
exclusives.
Yeah.
So I looked at the model. I liked the model. I thought it was kind of interesting. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna put it down there. I'll keep it on my list of maybe things to do. All right. So there is another Kickstarter that's starting on the 12th. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
This was the 12th.
The 12th. It is.
Like I told you, a lot's going to start happening next week. They just need to get that 14-day window into the new year before things start humping.
Right. You know, when people actually get their first paycheck after Christmas.
After Christmas. Yeah,
gotcha.
exactly.
Fair enough. Polyversal is the name of the game.
Polyversal.
Correct? It is a 6mm sci-fi game, which basically means if you're playing 6mm, you're playing large-scale battles.
Yes.
And looking at the artwork, like you've got, in the forefront, you've got that guy with the, like an infantryman, and then you got a vehicle behind them, and then, as you pointed out, going, I don't think that's a building in the background.
Nope.
One of the reasons,
some kind of like Leviathan crawler or something like that.
So definitely looks cool. Looks like interesting. They've got some artwork for like the way that they're going to do their unit cards, which was very unique, and they're in hexagons. And,
yep. We'll probably have a lot more on this next week. Once it's actually available.
But if you do a quick search for Polyversal, you will find some information on it, and their Kickstarter is coming. So a little preview so you can get used to.
Yeah, if you're looking for mass combat, this is definitely going to be a good way to go. I really like the art design they're going with. It is very modern, futuristic sci-fi.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not the old clunky what you'd expect from 6mm.
Right.
So this is going to, for any of you that are out there that collect 6 or 10mm, you're going to want to take a look at this because this is going to turn some heads.
Absolutely.
I actually found out about this one because Odin Fellhammer.
Oh, really? This is he brought this to us? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, he was the one that said, "Hey, do we want to check this out?" So,
cool.
When we find out a little bit more, then we'll find out a little bit more.
But so you pretty much know about everything we know about it. I mean, go take a look at it if you're into the scale, or if you're into sci-fi and want to try something new. Give it a look.
Yeah.
And when we have more, we'll have more. All right, but there is a Kickstarter that's actually going on right now that we're going to talk about.
Yay!
It is called the C'Thu. I would imagine is how you say that. It is a Cthulhu-based Kickstarter. It's for a game called Relics, and they've put together a Cthulhu-inspired faction.
Yeah, it's Relics has been out from Tour Games for a while now. They just keep expanding their own universe, like you do. And they're now expanding it with a horror-centric force, obviously based on the Cthulhu mythos, which doesn't surprise me from Tour.
Right.
So, yeah, it's right up their alley.
Yep.
Scopes look really good.
Yeah, actually, I gotta tell you, when I looked at them, I couldn't think of a use for them immediately, but I was like, those are pretty cool.
They're
I'm looking
neat
forward to
looking.
seeing them. Yeah.
I was actually trying to figure out if we could use them as like some kind of like Edo hybrid experiment.
Yeah, because they're actually, aren't they like humanoid but with the Cthulhu
Yes.
style heads?
Yes.
Yeah, they're really badass
They're like-
Zoidbergs. So
Yeah,
Yes.
like little baby Cthulhu kind of,
Yeah.
know, little.
yeah, they're
But yeah, they
you
look
know,
pretty neat.
Cthulhuettes. So
Yeah.
they're bipedal figures that look really human, and then they've got the big oblong head,
Yeah.
and then they've got the little.
They're like Egyptian, half human Cthulhu kind of
Yeah,
Yes.
things,
yeah, it works out really well. So
They look cool.
Yeah, they look really cool, and if you're into that kind of thing, or if you're looking for some unique models, give them a look. Like I said, they definitely. I'm trying to find a use for them. So
Getting one, I have a use for one. I'm gonna get one and paint it to look like second class elitist with the being his beard.
is that what's going on over there? All right.
hiding tentacles.
I
Actually, I thought that you might want it. They might be an interesting alternative to use for brain drones.
I was just about to say that too. Yeah, because you mentioned
Like it's
Edo
something that has
hybrid.
literally encapsulated the head of the host,
Yeah.
rather than attaching to the back of
Kind
the
of
head.
like
of
the
the
Edo
host.
face huggers there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead, they're just now face swallowers.
Yes.
head swallowers.
Kind of cover the entire head. Then.
Absolutely.
What better way to take over a person's brain
Where's
than
that
enveloping
squid
their
thing?
head?
Isn't that kind of what it was?
Oh yeah, the thing
What's
that
my
you were
squid
wearing.
hat? Yeah. Just saying. That's kind of what it is.
Cephalopod helmet?
A cephalopod hat. Oh wait, apparently it's around here. See?
So we will give a demonstration of what these models look like. So it looks like a regular person up to here, and then instead of the face, you've got that right there.
Thank you.
And then you've got all of these things here, and he's holding a gun out like that.
There you
So
go.
this is a life-size version of what the model looks like.
There you go. Oh, there we go. All right. So now on to other.
That's Cthulhu's eyes.
That was Cthulhu's eyes. Like right now, there's people
Cthulhu
crying
eyes.
into
You
their
don't know what's going
computers
on.
right now. All right.
Aren't you terrified?
Yes. Yeah, well, yes. I'm terrified of you all the time, Allie.
Hey, I'm not even in the room.
And that doesn't stop me from being terrified.
Line of sight.
Line of sight, exactly.
Necromantic powers are generally line of sight.
All right. So, campaign.
Campaign.
Yippee!
All right. So, for those of you who've been following the campaign, our Dark Age campaign ended, and I didn't win a game.
That is very sad.
Yes. Our Dark Age.
Despite initially building the really annoying list,
Yeah. Despite having
and
the
nobody
list
wanted to play.
that no one
against.
wanted to play against, I did not win a game. I had people literally not wanting to play me, and I couldn't win a
Yeah,
game.
I think we might have to revisit how dangerous that list is.
Right?
Like,
I'm just saying.
I never
May-
said it was dangerous. I just said it was annoying.
Annoying as hell.
maybe
Yes.
maybe we overstated what the list could do.
Apparently.
Apparently. Just slightly. So, end of campaign. It is clearly defined that Allie will win best overall. She will. No one will do eclipse her. We have one game still outstanding, unfortunately, which will determine
Second and third.
second and third. Because if based on how that game turns out, Merrick or Token Gamer Chick could end up with best battle points. So it makes a difference.
Right.
But everyone else finished after that.
Yes.
Right, definitively.
Definitively after.
Yeah, we have definitive
And I, in
wins
fact,
regardless
did
of how
not
the last
manage to
game
get, the high spin sweep because my big scary nightmare juggernaut got punked by a Bane and 3 coils.
goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Bane knocked it prone,
And then the coils came up and beat it to
and the
death.
coils charged.
Yep.
And the problem with big base models is you get lots of gang up opportunities.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Massive gang up bonus.
I charged. Oh, he's prone. Oh, I have 1 gang up. Thunk, thunk, thunk. All right, next model. Oh, he's prone. Oh, I charged. Oh, I have 2 gang up. Thunk, thunk, thunk.
Right.
And, you know, you throw enough dice.
It's a good plan.
I will say
Put in your
Dark
knock
Age
prone
definitively
first.
defines the make someone throw dice.
Yeah.
People will fail stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because remember, all those guys taking him out were 50-point models.
Yeah.
50-point models. I mean, granted, it was several.
Right.
Yeah,
So how
it
many
was,
50-point
it
models?
was 200 points of 50 point models.
versus a 200
Took
point
out a
model.
200 point model
Right.
in one turn, which is fair because if they didn't,
He would have taken
he
them out in
would've.
one turn.
Right.
So again, nice balance, nice gameplay.
Absolutely.
Really would have liked watching that happen if it wasn't my guy.
Right.
So-
Right.
Fair enough.
Honestly, the biggest problem we had in that game was that neither Raze nor the Nightmare Juggernaut got to swing in melee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
They
rough.
both
when,
got
when Scarred
pumped.
can't play in melee, they're not gonna win.
They both got popped, and even still, I only finished, what, 2 points back? 3
Yeah,
points
it
back?
was still really, really
Good.
close.
Well,
But the-
at least the game was still competitive then.
Yeah,
But the
like
thing
literally, if either one of those fights had spun the other way, if she hadn't killed Raze, he would have eaten the 230 points that
They were
attacked
in front of
him.
him.
Right.
Yeah.
If she hadn't killed the Juggernaut, it would have eaten the 200 points that attacked it.
Right.
That swings 2 points down for her, 2 points up for me, and that sways the game.
Absolutely.
Quite.
So I couldn't have
It
expected
wouldn't have
both of
been.
those
It
to
wouldn't have
happen.
been as close, honestly, if either of those fights had gone the other way.
Gotcha. Well,
But, you know,
hey.
credit to Allie. She played it right. She went for a chance, and, you know, I mean, yeah, she needed to roll like a 6 or lower, but she had 2 dice to do it,
Yeah.
and the second one did it, so...
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know, I know that Allie's in the other room, but you and I also both feel like towards the end of the campaign, she really got a sense of how to play her
Yeah,
best.
she really got an understanding for the game,
Yeah.
which was good, because she had literally not played it before the campaign started.
And really had like nothing at the beginning, like just couldn't get it at
But
all.
couldn't she didn't
Yeah.
she did not have a grasp of
My
how to
first
make
couple
these things
games
work
were
together.
abysmal. Like
Yeah.
it was a nightmare.
I
I was like,
would
oh
al-
my god, I hate this game.
I would also like to say that that kind of proves the point of how the game system is how that particular campaign system was designed. It's designed to start you with small and let you learn the game over the course of 8 weeks
Right.
of practice, and it worked.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
in
in
the
her
beginning,
case it took 10, but...
but I mean, in the beginning, she really had no sense for it, and by the end, she did.
Yep.
So, for those of you out there who might be trying a new campaign system like that, I think the point of what I'm trying to make is stick with it. You may not understand it in the beginning, but you might get it by the end.
Yeah, never throw away an army idea or a list until you've played it down enough to really understand its zen.
Right.
Like,
Right.
and really try to figure out what you're missing. Don't just go, I'm missing it. Go, I'm missing how this thing works.
Yes.
Figure out what's not working, and either figure out how to make it work, figure out if you're trying to make it do a task that it's not capable of, and if that's the case, figure out how to replace it.
Well, and case in point, mid-campaign, BK3 went to Merrick and said, hey, I can't figure out how to make these
Yeah.
Kukukani work. And Merrick wrote him a list and said, try this.
Yeah.
And then BK3 started finding out the zen of how to make that work.
Yeah, it was a good turn.
Yep. So anyway, also want to talk about This Is Not a Test. We will be starting that campaign this week.
This is not a test.
This is not a
This
test.
is in fact a campaign.
Yes. So
That joke never gets old.
it's never gonna get old. So we're actually really excited to play this in campaign form. It's a game built for campaign play from pretty much the ground up.
Yeah.
I mean, so we're really, really looking forward to getting into it. We've got people with like 4 or 5 factions already ready to go.
Well, I mean, to be fair,
So, I mean-
I'm running a couple different factions at once
Mhm.
just because I'm play testing out
A couple. Okay.
a couple things that no one else knows about yet.
Okay.
So I figured good way for us to get
Yeah.
in more available games and, you know, get some feedback back to, you know, Mr. McGuire.
And I will say, with it, This Is Not a Test does not take a long time to play a game.
No.
So you can play multiple games in a night session.
400-point game, hour and a half tops.
Right. So you can get a couple games in, which is a lot of fun. So we're looking forward to that. Did we decide how long we're playing this for?
No, we need to figure out.
We kind of need.
Make
We'll
an
probably
official
iron all
night.
that stuff out. I think on game night before we start our first game. We should probably figure all that out.
You know what? Let's do it a little bit differently, and let's do like a map control system.
That would be cool.
We haven't done a control.
We haven't done a
thing in
map
long
thing
time.
in a long, long time. All right. So that means.
And it's not like we don't have a map of the wasteland itself
Right.
that we can use.
Absolutely,
So,
I like this plan.
Yeah.
I do
Good
like
way to
this
run a
plan.
campaign.
Yeah.
When does the campaign end? When the story ends.
Pretty
Yeah,
much
basically.
when whatever whatever we decide is enough that someone's won.
Yeah.
Which is in keeping with the way the game is written.
Oh yeah. Well, that's actually one of the best things about this game is you post a question on the forums and sometimes the answer is, yeah, you guys decide.
Whatever makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll leave that up to the meta.
I'm like, that's brilliant.
Okay.
All right. So look forward to This Is Not a Test campaign. We've already started thinking of ideas for what we're going to do for the campaign after that, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun. All right. So some news.
News.
Yes. All.
We got some news with the news.
Someone's a little punchy. All right. So this week, actually, like literally today, which would be Saturday, the
Maybe.
St. John
Yes. Yes. That
St.
was
John
today.
stuff came out. So new releases for Dark Age.
Woohoo!
St. John models. St. John.
Very pretty.
Oh,
Very
they're
pretty.
all gorgeous, by the way. The St. John Mounted, which.
Honestly, and I know I'm going to offend some people with this.
Uh-oh.
My favorite of the mounted models to date.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
There's something about the pose that it's striding in
Okay.
that I really,
I
really
do like
connected
it,
with.
yeah.
I like it too, but I think. But I'm going to say I'm already partial to the model anyway, but I like St. Mary's Mounted.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It's solid.
Honestly,
it's
I
a
think
little
the
bit
Saint-
too Lisa Frank for me, honestly.
And maybe that's why I like it.
Honestly, for me, what I like about the pose of the St. John Mounted is it looks like it's part of a bigger setting. Like
Yes.
like there should be a whole painting around
Yeah,
it.
like I'm looking for the Frazetta backdrop for it.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I like about it. Yeah.
The models, I think that all three of us, when we saw them, went, ooh, the faithful.
Yep.
I think we-
Unbelievable.
I-
25 point
25 point models.
Really
freaking
awesome
gorgeous.
looking.
Yes.
Like how do you get to be looking that cool? You're gonna die too fast for anybody to notice it. Like
No, you bring
with-
lots of them. That's how.
and with their availability, you can bring lots of them, and that could become a really expensive Dark Gauge force really fast.
Yeah, this is true.
more drapery.
More drapery.
More drapery study.
The paladins, which, go ahead, you have an issue.
Okay, so the paladin, the male paladin, has a big, bulky, heavy-suited armor version of Sir James's armor.
Sure.
And the female paladin forgot to put on half the plates.
She really did.
So,
Like, it's
Yes.
literally the same armor as Sir James's, just missing half the torso pieces, because why would I want to make sure that this doesn't get shot? It's not like the heart and lungs are here.
no, of course not.
And honestly, her from the waist up, she has no armor on.
Yes.
There is like a corset or something, but it's not armored.
We've made this point
Yeah.
numerous times. And sometimes we feel as sculptors do a disservice to the model that they're trying to make.
Yes.
We feel this one might have fallen a little bit into that category.
Now there is an old quote which I believe, and I will correct this later if I'm wrong if he takes offense. I believe I actually heard Mike Chenal say in reference to this. The quote isn't his; it is someone else's. But the quote was, "I'll stop making them that way when they stop buying them that way."
Fair.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
I
The
mean-
flip side to that is, you don't know how many sales you're losing sculpting them that way because
didn't-
here's one.
Right.
Right.
I wanted to buy that model. I'm not buying that model. It's that simple.
But
Right.
how do you know? You didn't sculpt the other one.
Exactly.
How do you know whether it would sell?
No, and that's legitimate.
People
I
may
mean,
just be buying it because they want that
Well,
unit, whether they like the model or
and
not.
Correct.
let's.
Now there are some people that are buying it specifically
Right,
because
of
it
course.
looks that way.
Right,
I
of
admit
course.
those people are there.
Mhm. But I mean, I think we have to dig up that article that I read that time, that I showed you, and you and I really agreed with it. But you know, there's an entire marketplace that gets ignored a lot by the industry because of models like this.
Right.
I'm sorry, there are female gamers who will be offended by this model. You're losing their sales.
And not a lot. It's not a distastefully done model.
No.
No.
It is
I'm-
just an tastefully, excessively done model.
Right, and
I have no problem with the model as a female model.
Right.
My problem with is
it's
with that
impractical.
with that card being basically an idiot for going out without proper armor.
I just
Of
don't
course-
understand how her model and the male model both have the same armor
stats.
value.
Right.
Right.
Like,
It doesn't
when
make
that can be
sense.
explained to me, I'll be okay with the model.
Yeah.
Are only women allowed to carry force fields?
Aha.
So yeah, ultimately, I think your biggest complaint is if his armor is that, her armor should be the same, or vice versa.
Yes.
And
He should be wearing less armor, or she should be wearing more.
Or, if in the game, this is actually, male paladins are this, female paladins
Have
are
different
this.
stats.
Male paladins are AR 20, female paladins are AR 17. By the way, she costs 15 points less. I'm okay with it.
Right.
right.
You know, the problem is that I like what I'm seeing to balance to the rules.
Right.
I want the
Fair enough.
model to justify to the story arc
Mhm.
and to the rule set. And when you have Iron Man suit
Mm-hmm.
and
Wonder
Wonder
Woman.
Woman suit,
Yeah, and that's funny. You and I did not talk about this. We
No.
both came to the same place. So that'll
can't-
give you the clear.
You can't argue that Wonder Woman's armor
Is
has
as
the
good.
same rating as
It's
Iron Man's.
Absolutely.
And it's funny because they haven't been doing that by and large. Like
No.
the Banes and the coils that I have.
They
Yep.
look
They
pretty much the same.
You can tell the males from the females, but the armor is the same.
Yeah.
Now they do have their scantily clads, but their scantily clads are where their scantily clads make sense.
Right.
In the wastes,
Yeah.
in the ravages,
Where it's
slaves,
hot.
psychopaths,
Right.
Right.
slavers, dominatrixes. Like,
Yes.
I'm okay with
I
it
am
there.
fine with that.
Right.
Yeah, it's just
Doesn't really fit.
you're right.
where
The
you're
card
at there.
thing.
Right.
Honestly, you know what would fit if you wanted to do it for a Forsaken faction? St. Joan.
Yeah,
Because that's kind of her motif.
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, like you could find,
It
you
would
could
work
see
better.
it work better there than here.
Yeah, agreed.
So, and then there's the Sir James model,
Yeah.
which I actually like.
However, again, paladins, if you need to use them, if they're part of your strategy, it's a good model. If you're
It's
running
a-
this force, you probably want to spend the money to buy the models anyway.
Yeah.
But
Still
yeah,
good models.
not saying
Else.
that I'm not saying that I'm not going to want to play against someone that has it. I'm not saying I'm going to make an uproar. You won't even hear me mention it at a tournament if we're on the table unless I'm asked.
Right.
But as a buyer, I'm not buying that model.
Right. And I don't think you're wrong there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sir James.
Sir James.
Sir James is the banner bearer for St. John.
Yeah.
I actually liked the model for Sir James.
Really solid.
Yeah, and as just to kind of go tie back to the other thing, I think you literally said, why isn't she just wearing his armor?
Yeah, that was.
Right.
That was
we
a
asked
quote.
her, I was like, can we just have her hit? You know, not as big as you know,
Bulky McBulkerson.
Paladin.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
Hank Big Pecs,
It's
but
a similar shape, but less
Right.
less
Yeah.
bulky, less.
So,
thick.
I mean,
more
Sir James
carved.
definitely fits the look of everything else, and I love the banner, how it's
I mean,
split like that.
her armor, all three of them, the armors tie thematically to each other.
Right.
It's just it wasn't necessary.
Wasn't necessary. But all in all, we're
Good force.
happy
Nice
with the
pieces.
force. We like this resculpts, and Dark Age continues to put out their new sculpts or their resculpts, and we keep going. I want those models.
Dark Age continues to break my argument when it comes to metal models.
Yeah.
They're making metal models that
They
are
are.
not necessary to look heroic, to not break molds.
Right.
They've figured out how to make it work.
Good
They
for
have.
them.
And, you know, yeah, these are...
These are good.
If I didn't know these were metal, I would assume they were resin because they look that way. They're
Yeah.
thin, they're soft.
Oh, yeah. They do a really good job with what they've got, and yet again make us want to go. I want to play that force. All right, other new models.
Other new models.
ArcWorld.
ArcWorld!
ArcWorld, if you don't know, is trying to put out a box set, or is going to be putting out a box set. I
It's
should
going to
say.
happen.
It's going to happen.
Well, now we know for sure it's going to happen.
So he posted on, or Lord Huntley posted some pictures of the masters
Yep.
for the models that are going into the box set.
The Battle for Troll Bridge.
There you go. And yeah, they're definitely resin.
Yep.
Which is a divergence for him as well, because he's usually metal.
Well, no, what we saw weren't final models. They
Okay,
were
they're just the masters are
they were
okay.
masters.
Are the
So,
final models going to be metal? Do we know?
I believe that the Bay Orcs are going to be
Okay.
metal. I believe the other force is the human.
Albanicans or
Yeah, those guys.
Those guys. Sorry.
They're not my force, so I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, it's Albanica, I think is the name of the
Albionica, something like that.
Maybe, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, they're coming from that place. And then there's another model that's in the set, which is a swamp beast that could be used with the Bioorcs or pretty much with anybody.
Okay.
Which is a box-specific troll.
Okay. Which is big compared to the other models.
Yeah,
Oh,
old Greg is big.
Oh boy.
Old Greg. And and that one I expect is probably going to be resin.
Right.
Because shipping.
Because if not, yeah.
Because you know, you know.
If not, you have an earthquake, it falls off your shelf and kills you.
What though? It would definitely fit with Lord Huntley's, feelings that
Model in a sock.
models in a sock. That's the way your game.
I would accept that model being made in metal if in fact it was shipped in a wool sock.
I was going to say shipped with a sock.
Ship it with a sock. Okay.
Sock
And when is this
Like-
going to happen? Soon, I believe is what we've heard.
Well,
Ooh.
I may or may not have accidentally been in a conversation where...
Did you trip? I mean, how'd this happen? Is it an accident?
I have detailed files.
Okay.
Where there was discussion about launching this on Kickstarter possibly as soon as the end of the month.
Okay. So, a few weeks.
Because I may or may not have been involved in a discussion about what to do about stretch goals if such a thing were to be launched on Kickstarter by the end of the month.
Leviathan.
Just random.
I still need the Leviathan. I need to order that, and I feel really bad that I don't have one.
Well, for the record, if I hadn't bought you Tiny,
Okay.
you were getting a
Leviathan for Christmas?
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's fair.
It was between the two. I was one of those two you were getting. Because I knew that's what you wanted.
Yep.
I'm just going to put out to Lord Huntley that I will personally try to get you to one of your first stretch goals, and one of your first stretch goals is rules for mounted halflings.
Can't imagine why.
Of course, the models came in. Yes, I'm back to the mounted halflings. I want uses for them.
Lord Huntley, this man has one request, and that one request is
Mounted halflings.
Is stats for mounted halflings.
That's all I want. I will be a happy, happy man. I will do giddy dances on camera.
Can we get a preview?
No.
Oh.
No previews. There will be no giddy dancing until I have rules for a mounted halfling.
Just a 1 second tease.
Eh.
Okay. Fair enough.
All right. Last but not least of our articles of news.
What's that?
Somebody, a company out there, has gotten the rights to a game system for one of the most popular TV series to date, and Allie's very excited. So, Mantic announced that they have the rights to a Walking Dead game, and that it will be out late-ish 2016. And that's about all we know, isn't it?
Right, so we're going to have this conversation in a TV series spoiler-free manner for those of you still catching up on their seasons back.
Well, that's me, by the way.
Netflix.
I'm 2 seasons behind.
Okay. So, here's my first concern. You guys have heard me say this one a couple times now. A game with 2 factions is a board game.
Yep.
A game with 3 factions is a board game with options.
Mm-hmm.
And a game with 4 factions is actually a war game.
Yes. You and I had this conversation. It is possible to make this a war game.
Yes. If you literally use pretty much
Everything.
every faction available, you get 4 and zombies.
Right.
If it's humans versus zombies,
It's war
humans versus humans,
Yeah.
zombies versus zombies. I don't know how that one works, but
Yeah.
you can wind up
I
with,
know how that works. You're competing over resources.
you could wind up with 5 factions
Yes.
total. But I don't know that they're going to do it that way.
I don't know.
And I don't know that you can. That then would rub aground the same way that Fellowship of the Ring did.
Mm-hmm.
When you had rules where I'm playing the Riders of Rohan and you're playing the Last Alliance of Elves and Men.
Yes.
Because this
Why
requires
would
a
we do
time
that?
warp.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Or I mean, and you ended up with. I mean, and continuing that particular theme is, you had good versus evil was the way the game was designed to be built.
Right.
And then you would have
Good versus good.
good versus good, or evil. Evil versus evil worked at least a little bit.
Yeah, because then you were just playing he was the greater evil.
Yeah.
Right.
But good versus good never made sense.
Right.
I mean, and
I think you avoid that here because
not
humans
necessarily.
versus humans.
not necessarily. So I gotta keep it characters that
Right.
wouldn't. I'm playing Rick and Carl, and you're playing Rick and Carl. It doesn't make any sense.
True.
But isn't that always a problem with two people playing the same faction with the same characters?
Not necessarily. With the same characters, yes, not necessarily the same faction. And the problem is the way Walking Dead's set up. Your factions are all characters.
Right.
I mean, like literally, let's go to Dark Age because it's this perfect example for Allie. I could play Forsaken, you could play Forsaken, and it can still make sense.
Yeah, but if we both play Prevailers, odds are we're going to have the same characters in there. We don't have to,
We don't
but
have
odds
to, but
are
we
we're
could.
going to.
Right.
And that really becomes the other problem is that from a model standpoint, sure, I'm expecting they're going to make a plastic box of really kicking looking zombies, and people will buy the blazes out of it.
Two people have questions. You
No,
go
that
first.
was an agreeing
That was
bit that I
her
was
Oh.
buying.
No.
Which is
This is.
what
I have a
you're
question.
saying.
No, I have a
Okay.
question. Or actually, an observation. I'm not sure about your statement of kicking ass zombies.
Well, yeah. I mean,
All right, so there's a picture that was along with this announcement, and the picture looked to me like their typical rustic models.
they look hard. What
They
what
look
is
that
referred to as hard sculpted.
Yes.
Not to say they're made out of the hard rustic, but they're done in that sculpting style that is very jagged
Right.
and is very typical of Mantic. I mean, they're keeping it within their own look.
Yeah,
I can't fault that.
But if they do it and keep it in that hard rustic that they use for a lot of their stuff, I don't like the rustic. I don't think it holds detail well.
Right.
And I don't like most of the models they put out that have it.
I expect the zombies will look like that, but they will be done in plastic.
Okay.
Mantic is starting to make a move towards plastic for
Okay.
things that will sell in large quantities.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the problem.
Well, are
You
they going to
can't
sell
make a
it?
dynamic zombie game out of The Walking Dead.
No.
Because you have one entry for walkers, and it's walkers.
Yep.
If you
That's
divert,
right.
if you
You're right.
divert from you can't get screamers, you can't get bruisers, you can't get big things, you
No,
can't
you
get
have
exploding
zombies.
things.
It's all just zombies.
It's just baseline zombies.
I know, I almost wonder if they're going to do that more like what some of the other games are doing, is having the zombies just be an environmental hazard.
I don't know.
I don't know.
prevalent in the
That's
game
it.
setting.
There's not enough details to know definitively. I mean, I'm intrigued in what they're going to do with it. I want to see what they're going to do with it because I'm a big fan of The Walking Dead.
But you think it was a weird choice for them?
I don't know how you make it into a
This is a
dynamic
conversation, and honestly, this IP has come up in conversation a few times.
Mhm.
It's one of those IPs that looks like it would work really well
game. Until you get down into
until
the
you
nitty-gritty.
try to make it work as a game.
Right.
So
Other than a board game.
other than a board
It
game.
works fine as a board game.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Now, if it is Mantic's answer to Zombie Side,
Then that would
Right.
work.
then that works really well.
Right. But I'm less interested.
But that is a board game.
That is a board game. Yeah.
Right.
Like, but if they make it into a board game, and that's the thing, it's unclear if they're going to do that or not. But if they make it into a board game, I think it works fine, and I'm not
As a
interested.
board game, right.
The other problem is aside from the zombies, you have, I'm going to go out on a limb and say 85 personalities. I mean, you could make Townie or Settler from a couple different things.
Yeah.
But reasonably speaking, you're talking about 80, 85 characters.
I mean, it definitely seems
is
to
now
lend
a little
itself
big for a
to
board
me.
game.
It really lends itself to, at best, a skirmish game.
Yes.
Even if it's a war, if it's going to be something on the tabletop war game, you're looking, I think, 5-6 models aside.
Yep. Now here's the
Or
biggest issue.
or 5-6 models and
I was
20
gonna say
zombies or
10,
something. Yeah.
But yeah.
But I mean, I think if you want to be able to have diversity that you would need for a war game, you can't go past 5 or 6 models aside
then you have
because
the
you
duplication
don't have
problem.
enough. You don't have enough personalities to field enough variety. If you go 10 aside, even if you do
Everyone
all
will have
85
the same
characters,
version of the army,
yeah, exactly.
is what you're saying. Yeah.
Now here's the other issue. Mantic likes putting up the rules for free online.
Yes, that's the other thing.
If they put up the rules free for a zombie versus survivor game, literally how many clubs need to get anything from them?
You notice none of us rose our hands.
Yeah.
You've seen our collection of
I mean,
zombies.
if you're a club that is interested in playing human versus zombie,
You've got this already.
you've got the models, you've got the thing. It's honestly a little bit late to market.
Well, and you've got 2-3 different companies that have not Rick Grimes models out,
Yep.
not Carl models out.
True.
Not Daryl Dixon models out.
Right.
We have a couple.
We have a couple, that's what I'm saying. Like, I agree with you.
I can
think-
show them to you right now.
Like, but I think you're absolutely right, and I think that Mantic may have paid a lot of money for something that they're not going to get what they need out of.
Yeah, which is my only concern.
Yeah, and I think the only way they can prevent that is to do something that they've never done before, and that's not what the rules online.
Right.
Force you to buy your box.
At which point, are their core fans
Gonna be
going to
upset.
support that decision enough to buy the game?
Maybe not.
Right.
I mean,
Maybe they will.
Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. But I mean, you and I've seen it before, where a company makes a policy change because it's the right thing for them to do business-wise, and their fan base just balks at it, even when you can say it's the logical choice they needed to make.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Even when we actively support that decision.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this is a very interesting thing that Mantic has brought to the table.
Yep.
We're not sure what it's going to entail. But we're all three of us intrigued to see what happens.
I'm also intrigued to see if they're going to play it, which of the two Walking Dead universes they're going to focus on. Because a lot of things change if you do the comic book version of all of this versus the AMC version of all of this.
Well, absolutely.
Fair enough.
And, yeah. And you and I were talking about that too. But even then, you still have the faction problem. Either way you go.
Right, but it gets even worse because... Spoiler alert, Daryl's not in the comic book. AMC invented that character. And he's likely to be your best-selling figure.
I can add 3 factions to the game if they use their entire expanded universe.
Yes.
The Telltale games adds 2 more.
I don't know, but I don't know if that's included in
you don't know. You don't know. I'm just.
Oh yeah, because AMC also is making an offshoot series. Is that included in the rights?
They didn't get the rights from AMC. They got the rights from Skylane, I think is the company.
Yeah, but so AMC doesn't really own the rights to their stuff.
Right.
Everything, even the stuff that's new to their universe, is still owned by Skylane.
Right.
But I mean, if I were Mantic, I would not have signed on unless I could get everything.
Right.
And that means everything, because even the Telltale stuff is technically owned by Skyland. Because Skylane wouldn't have given Telltale the rights to, like, anything that's created for the universe is technically theirs.
Well,
that they could use if they wanted to.
Well, it depends on how that contract was signed. Because you own an IP.
Mm-hmm.
I can sign a contract with you to use your license to create this book.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm using your license. I have permission to use your license and to adapt it for my needs as seen fit. Mm-hmm. And I put 4 new characters into that book.
Mm-hmm.
That falls under adaptation for my needs.
Right.
You don't own those guys.
Right, but if I have the property that you need to make your book work, I'm not giving you that.
You'd be surprised how often it happens.
Okay.
Like, that's literally how the entire Star Wars EU occurred.
Yeah, but you also notice that all of the later Star Wars EU did not have that. Lucas kept the rights to everything after they lost the rights to things like Thrawn.
Right. But that was how it started.
I understand that.
It's actually part of the problem with the AVP universe. Because you have 3 different computer games by 2 different manufacturers, a comic book, a movie line. This was licensed from this. These were licensed from this. A board game, which comes back to here, that can't reference this or these.
That's poor. That's just poor foresight from the person who owns the IP.
Happens.
Again, poor foresight from the person who owns the IP. I mean, and
it depends. Well, it depends on if you expect something is going to create a lasting change to your IP or not.
Right.
If you don't expect that the characters I'm going to put into that book are going to be fan favorites where they're going to go, oh my god, I wanted that guy, you don't bother.
But here's my question, because this is really the question I have for you, and you would be right to know because you're right.
Because I do these things, yeah.
All right, I'm the guy who has the IP. You want to use my IP.
Yeah.
What is the downside for me just including that automatically?
You're going to get a smaller cut.
Because you don't own the characters, so you.
If I am giving you my creations, now you're not going to get as much revenue from the sale of my work, because my argument is, yeah, but I'm helping you make money later on because I'm making you some awesome characters. So now your percentage goes from 30% to 20%.
Okay.
And that's why it's done that way sometimes.
Okay.
And
Okay.
because you also sit there and go, sure, you can own your character that only exists in my universe. If I want to make a sequel to this book,
You got to come back to me.
I got to come back to you. And at that point you go, okay,
Let's talk about this character that everybody loves.
well, let's talk about this 30% you didn't want to give me last time. Do you want a sequel? 30%.
Right.
You can still keep the character. That way when you come back again, I can say 35.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I mean, and you're right. It happens all over the place because you and I can name how many different TV shows, books, or all that where
All the time.
different parts are owned by different people.
Yep. I mean,
And that makes sense.
The Doctor Who problem
That's what
is huge.
That's what I was thinking about. The Daleks and the Cybermen aren't owned by BBC.
Yep.
Two of their biggest villains for Doctor Who.
Yep.
Yeah.
So especially
Makes
with
sense.
older properties, as they handle all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Also with properties that were started by companies that weren't,
Big enough.
mega companies to start with.
So that
this will never
30%
happen
mattered.
with a Disney character.
Right. But Skyline giving something up like that because they need the 30%
Right.
because they can't.
I wanna lease a character from 82,000. I want to borrow one of your sideline minor Judge Dredd characters that exists out in the waste, and I want to write a book from that, and I'll give you 20% for me to be able to use this one character that you wrote one time 17 years ago and have never touched, and to be able to mention Mega City 1.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, you can have 20. I'll take 20% of whatever that gets me.
Now the next thing you know, that character becomes a phenom, and Fox wants to make a movie, or Disney wants to make a movie. Well, now they got to go to you to get the rights, and me to get the character,
Right.
and that's how this happens.
Right. And so there's an advantage to letting me you keep the character because if you do turn it into something big, I'm going to get something on the back end.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay. So all of that was back to we have no idea what they actually own in Walking Dead.
Yes. We have no idea what they own or what they're going to do. And thank you for that 20-minute, jazz riff that
I
we
know.
just went on to.
We do this sometimes.
Somebody's going to like that
lesson in
part.
copyright.
Yes.
Somebody's going to go, oh, that's
Lesson in
how it
copyright
works.
law.
Yeah.
And they're like,
But however, Mantic's got a Walking Dead game coming out. If you're into The
eventually,
Walking
of
Dead,
some kind.
Yeah.
But if you're into The Walking Dead, be excited because there's something coming for it. And I'm
More
also
zombie
genuinely
mode.
surprised it's taken this long to get that IP something in this genre.
Ironically, just to piggyback back to that point,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give WordForge Games props because
Okay.
in the contract that WordForge Games and I signed for the novelization of Devil's Run, there was actually a stipulation about character ownership.
Okay.
Like it was actually addressed.
Oh,
right
there you
from
go.
the get.
Who owns
So,
the characters?
I was allowed to do anything I wanted with characters that were not yet developed, and I was allowed to introduce any characters or kill any characters that I wanted. The flip side was anything that I created in the novelization, they owned the rights to for purposes of making models of and missions around.
Okay.
So I could technically still write those characters in a spin-off book of my own,
But
and they can make the characters in spin-off scenarios of their own,
right.
So
and
you
we
can
can
each
do
have the
this and
parts you
both make
care
money.
about.
Gotcha.
So you can each have the parts you really care about anyway.
Right. No, actually, it sounds like it was a perfect,
Which
very well.
works
Fair
great
arrangement.
until Fox comes and goes, that character that you made, I want to make a movie. And then we're all like, all right, we're done being friends now. There's $1 million
Now we
on
gotta
the
fight
table.
over it.
Exactly.
So,
Like, who owns what now?
Yep.
Anywho. That's really all the news we have, guys.
well, we got one more show and tell.
Oh, no, we have a show and tell.
Please.
We have a show time. So, alright, before you bring it up here,
Yep. You'll notice
the big empty space in the middle of the
there
table.
is no round table here.
6 months ago?
Got that.
6 months ago, I stood right
6 months Kickstarter era.
here. Kickstarter error. I stood right here behind this table and told you all you need to go to a Kickstarter and spend money. And this
Cracked
is why.
Earth. Cracked
It's
Earth.
called Cracked Earth.
Alright, so this bad mamma jamma here which is probably going to be difficult to keep in focus. I'm going to say this is not the most impressive paint job I've ever seen. I am going to say, for the price point, for what we paid for this to be pre-painted, this is actually pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, the roof is 4-staged. The stonework is all at least 2, in some places 3. The walls are the woodwork is effectively 3 because it's black and then brushed up in 2 tones above that. The
walls are 2 or 3 stage.
Yep. There is a gemstone here. Hopefully that's reflecting a little bit.
A little bit.
There is another one here.
Yep.
There.
And there.
There. And there.
down there, yeah.
So, I mean, so there's some multimedia parts in this. As they had said, they have
Things
the
pop
cappers, which pop off, which allow it to be more dynamic on the table, but yet safe to transport without risk of it breaking. Also allows you to do different things. Like, this is obviously a pretty fantasy building with a huge, ale cask sitting on top of the fireplace over here for no good freaking reason. But if I wanted to make it a more hardcore, more realistic fantasy setting, now I just make that,
a chimney.
one more chimney there off the kitchen, and it all works. So, I mean, there's some nice things here. You can do it a couple different ways. This is if you want really top shelf liquor. But, I mean, and
Yeah.
really nice piece. Let me grab a couple,
Models for scale.
just for scale pieces. Let's assume you wanted to use this as Old London Town in Malifaux. You could see there that old models scale pretty well. New models probably just a little bit big. But that's not terribly bad. If you wanted to use this in Ark World, again, just a little bit small at a true 28, but also remember that this is actually on a much higher base than normal, so it's not going to be that terribly bad. That's Malifaux. We just did one of those.
Oh, sorry.
Do we have a Dark Age 28 that's not up on a high mom base?
Ooh, no, mine
'Cause
are
I
on the
know I
really
don't.
tall ones.
Grab one of the unpainted harpies. Unpainted harpies. Yes. Or Blaze. Blaze. Where's Blaze? Blaze is actually painted and not on a funky base.
And where's she at?
Probably
table?
on the table from where I got the crap kicked out of me.
Okay.
Where she got killed?
Okay. Can't find her, but found...
Is that her?
Yep.
There she is.
Okay, so girls' night out. Blaze. Charity. Pretty much dead on for size. So actually kind of impressed with that. It's a good piece. I don't remember what the price point was, and it wouldn't matter because it was a Kickstarter price point anyway.
Generic survivor guy.
Generic zombie dude.
Well, we know he's exactly.
In your fantasy?
He is 28mm scale.
Boom.
Perfect scale.
Yep. So all in all, happy with the scale size. Here's a Wargames Factory model because everybody knows what size those are. Yeah, really good size there. I think I'm just about done showing things in front of this thing. So, yeah, really good piece. Really happy with it. Definitely going to be looking good on an Ark World table.
Absolutely.
In the near future.
Mm-hmm.
Still need to work on my dead pirate ship.
You do.
I have it.
He does. All right.
So,
So, next time I tell you to buy terrain,
yep.
Listen.
listen.
Because if you weren't me, you wouldn't even need to do anything to this.
Right. Yeah. Because you're a jerk.
I might, like,
Tweak.
do a little bit of aging,
Yeah.
stuff like that. But again,
But it's not bad.
I'm okay with playing with this as it is. I'm okay
Yeah.
with it being on the table like it is.
Oh, good
This is
Lord.
not a bad piece of terrain.
This is better than most of the terrain we've seen in other places.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
The transport thing is amazing.
Clunk.
Solid piece, as you can see. Cracked earth. Cracked tables if you drop the pieces. But yeah, definitely.
How heavy is that?
This one building, I'm gonna put it at right around 2 pounds.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2 pounds.
Yeah.
That sounds right. I love that it has the rubber pads on the bottom too.
Yep. Yeah, rubber pads on the bottom. Nice thick ones so that it will absorb a little bit of blow and not scuff your table when you scrape it across.
Because it's gonna.
Because that'll happen. But yeah, I mean, all in all.
Honestly, the part I'm most excited about with this piece of training always was this.
And the fact that they're going to be releasing,
More bits.
Bits and option kits later. So
Yeah.
it's going to look good.
I like it. All right. Thank you for watching this Sunday News. If you liked what you saw here, like, subscribe, tell your friends. If you didn't like what you said here, shut your damn mouth. Don't tell people.
That's what we're doing this year?
Yeah, that's what we're doing this year. No, seriously, if you didn't like what you saw here, send us a feedback. We want to know what you want to see. We want to cover what people want to talk about.
Yep.
If you thought that something we said was completely off base and we're bonkers, tell us that too.
If we got our information wrong about anything,
Let us
tell
know. Because we don't like getting things wrong, and we will clearly point out that we did if you tell us we did.
We're not perfect.
Well, no. Lord knows.
Especially you're not. Look at that game score.
Really?
Yep.
That's where you went, huh?
Yep.
Okay. Jerk.
What was that score?
Okay. Hey.
7.
7-1. I got a 1 in there.
Yeah, that one was a tie
I did.
against somebody that only had
It was
200
one he
points on
didn't
the
lose.
table.
Shush.
I mean, I got to give Tog some credit, man. He
pulled a tie.
He fought hard with only having 3 models he could use the last week because all of his characters got done perished.
Hey,
You really
showed up.
had to rub that wound, huh?
Well, I figure next week we'll be going on to a new campaign, so
More opportunities.
gonna be my last chance.
I better win a game in this campaign or I'm never playing again. That's all I'm saying. Somebody just throw a game if you have to. I'm just saying. If you don't want to play me again. Seriously, though.
You were expecting Tog to throw a game?
Somebody to throw a game.
No.
That beardy bastard?
No, that beardy bastard doesn't throw anything.
No.
Alright, so thank you for watching Sunday News. Please tell your friends, and we will see you next week. Until next time.
It's alive!
We're all gonna die!
Calling out for souls, and in dreams he will promise to the powers of old. War has begun on this eve of corruption, and the days the prophets warned us of have come.
I don't even know. What are you doing over
I
there?
took sign language.
Oh, okay.
There's no sight chart for you.
How's my follicles?
Your beard's magnificent.
Excuse me?
Your beard is right proper.
Good.
That's my follicles.
Yes.
The important ones.
How's my carbonicles? What? I don't know.
The important ones on the bottom half of his
what
face.
that word was I was trying to say.
It wasn't one, so
Carbonicles.
Carbonicles. I don't know what I was trying to say.
I'm pretty sure that's what
my
you're wearing on
bunions.
your
I don't
head.
know.
I'm glad that word is on tape because I'm going to steal that and put that in a thing somewhere.
Carbonicles.
Carbonicles.
And no one's going to know what the person's talking about there either.
That's
It's kind of the point.
it's a great word.
It is a great
Use
word.
it for anything. You don't know what it is.
This is how English words get made. Somebody makes something up one time, and it's just.
So are you starting or am I starting?
I'll start.
Okay.
I don't mind starting.
Good.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, and welcome to the Sunday News. I'm Belgrath97. This is...
Second class leadist.
We're here at LXG headquarters to come to bring... Starting over.
Is this take 2 for chance?
Oh, this is going to take 2.
You were like, I'm good, I'm good, Cliff.
I'm sorry.
I
it's
was
all
like,
the
I don't
I don't even
French
know what
expressions
happened. You're like, ring, a trunk. There goes clutch.
Yeah.
earlier. 2 pops clutch.
Made sense. My brain just went, nope, we're done.
He popped a clutch shifting into 5th. Nobody pops a clutch shifting into 5th. He's well past the part where you can make a mistake, and he's like, I'm doing it anyway.
It's my fault. It's my fault for putting him in a bilingual day.
Oh my god, my brain just went.
Je ne le plus.
That's pretty much what he said, yeah. Although he tried it in English.
I tried it in English.
He started Franglishing.
Oh my lord! I don't even know what I was trying to say.
Neither do we.
Je ne sais quoi.
Carbonicles. That's what I was trying to
Carbonicles.
say. Carbonicles.
How would you pronounce that in French?
Carbonicles.
Carbonaclé.
Carbonaclé. Yes.
Go big. Go big.